Christoph asks a question. He says, do you think focusing on firing a certain muscle, feeling the pump in the targeted muscle, mind-muscle connection in the basic lifts has value for the normal guy, or should one just move the damn weight and pay attention to find a groove that feels good for them? Like you said in one recent podcast, the body is smarter and will slap on the muscle where it is needed. And you're paraphrasing, and that's okay. For example, some bodybuilders use push-pull hinge squat variations, but shift the emphasis on certain muscles that they think lag behind. For example, using mental focus and a slightly different technique to really feel more of the pecs and benching, or more of the quads and squats, mind-muscle connection. I think this comes from different body types, which have different limb proportions relative to your torso. On the other hand, one could use a variation that suits them better, front squats for tall and lanky lifters, or dumbbell presses instead of barbell presses, for better suiting one's movement groove. Well, Christoph, this is nothing. This is a question that's been around a while. If you read materials from the early 1950s, there's two people I've got a great respect for. One was the Iron Guru, Vince Gironda. Now, I've heard Vince Gironda must have been really a guy, because I've heard the most positive things in the world said of him, and I've heard the most negative. His insights on food, I've tried a lot of them. I tried that massive amounts of desiccated liver and brewer's yeast, and I tell you one thing, my body didn't like it, and anybody who had to be in the weight room with me could honestly tell you that too. No one would spot me in the squat. I loved his work. He was very much into this idea of to find certain muscles. For example, on the bench press, which he thought was a terrible exercise. This ties into your question. A terrible exercise. So he pushed wide grip to the throat bench presses. For dips, he preached the V style wide grip dip instead of parallel V. Didn't believe in squats. He said they widen your butt. Didn't believe in a bunch of exercises. His insights on ab training were way ahead of the rest of us. If you look at his books, he really emphasized pushing that lower back into the ground and abs and crunching that ab wall, which now we know is not only a better way to work the ab wall, but it's a lot easier on the rest of the spinal column and that whole orchestra of thing that's going down in that area. At the same time, you got Reg Park coming out with books, and Reg, who was of course Arnold's hero, he was pushing, you bench press, you military press, you front squat, you back squat, you deadlift, you curl, you tricep extend, you do pull-ups, thank you very much, and just big exercises, 5 sets of 5, that kind of thing. Christoph, so the reason I gave those two very good examples is that, you can train Reg Park way and really have amazing body composition changes, so you look good on the beach. You can train Vince Gironda's way and build up what he called the illusion. He loved using he really saw bodybuilding a lot like Michelangelo saw, making a sculpture. If you whittle a little bit here and add a little bit there, you look a lot better than if you just do one or the other. If you add an inch to your shoulders this way and you take, an inch off your waist, you're going to look far better than if you added 2 here or took away 2 there. Of course, it always depends on what, the structure you're dealing with. The issue, and I just want to make sure you know this, Christoph, is I don't really work with bodybuilders very much, body composition. There's far better people than me. I know what I know, and I certainly work with people who want to look better for weddings and the beach and just, life in general. As Dick Notmeyer taught me years ago, if for some of the things, it's probably better to learn how to, take a ballroom dancing class and, use some basic hygiene will do a lot better than, getting yourself down to a 29-inch waistline and ripped to shreds, because depending on what you're interested in, those two options might be much better for you. I'm not sure that, like when I was young, we were told to do incline benches for the upper pecs. When I started focusing on incline bench presses, I came back and someone said that they could clearly see that I'd been doing it. That might be true, but it was also the fact that the person hadn't seen me in a while when I was, say, 202, 90, 91, 92 kilos, and then I was 105, 231. I was just bigger and fuller. So was it the incline bench press or the fact that I was doing high rep squats, snatches, clean and jerks, really pushing my off-season training? I know every so often you'll see these compilation studies in the research. They always work with the population that doesn't really help us understand, beginners. I do think it'd be worthy of study if you want to get your doctoral, you do your dissertation or even your master's, to study if this really does happen. The person who I have great respect for, Brett Contreras, he does all those studies with the machines to find out what the best glute exercises and activation and all that stuff. So when he's talking about, this exercise works this part of the glute, and he's got those little machines with all the little things stuck to it, and can say, yeah, this does work and this doesn't. This does work here and this might not there. Oddly, somebody one time asked me why my spinal erectors were so big. His name was Randy Taylor, and he was a bodybuilder. And I said, I don't do a single thing for it. Well, but I did. I snatched, which you hold, and clean and jerk, where you hold your lower back in this kind of this isometric position. Let's just stick with that because I feel like I can defend that phrase. And then I did a lot of hyperextensions, but I also did a lot of front squats and back squats. So my spinal erectors were getting called out up to 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. And the only thing they could do was to respond and grow bigger. So sometimes you can really work a muscle group without even touching it. I know this, if you decide to do high rep back squats, you're gonna get growth in places in your body that you never even considered. We're gonna have a question in a minute or two on biceps. And I've often been told when I was young, the best way to build your biceps, this is just Tom Platz, I'm quoting him basically from articles, interviews, and workshops. You wanna get bigger biceps, do more heavy high rep back squats. The body is one piece. Your question is good. I think for most of our audience, the body is one piece. Stick with the basics. But for the people who are trying to slide into actual bodybuilding competitions on the platform, you are going to probably have to spend some time working on the details like Michelangelo would do. As always, it's one of those questions where so much depends on what you want long term. If you're to stand up in an auditorium, on a platform by yourself in posing trunks, you can't leave many stones unturned. So you might need to do those kind of specific works. Whether or not it works as well as the traditional lifts, I don't know, but the tradition in bodybuilding is that it does. So kind of a vague answer, but the best I can do. Okay, thank you.